be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
I'm telling you guys, it's wrong. It's wrong! It's wrong!
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's your pal NOMZ here. Today, I finally get to talk about The Matrix. Yay! I get to talk about another dead corpse franchise that Hollywood is digging up to parade around in the hopes of sucking away even more of our time and money, and most likely to our great disappointment. Now look, this may surprise some of you, but I adore the Matrix Trilogy. Yes, you heard that right. I said trilogy, as in all three Matrix movies. Sequels and all. The internet doesn't seem to like the latter two Matrix films, to which I say, fuck that! Those movies are fucking awesome, and some of the most quotable movies ever, as you'll likely see in this very video. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I am by no means a hater of Matrix sequels, let me make that clear. I'm all for an excellent new installment in the franchise, if it's done for the right reasons and in the right way, as in making a logical and consistent addition to the story, or hell, make a prequel to The Matrix, I don't care. I'm sure there's a bunch of cool stories to tell. However, while I'm admittedly curious as to what the Wachowskis decide to do, I gotta say, watching the trailer didn't fill me with much optimism. I don't know about the rest of you, but do we really need another Matrix movie?
Everything that has a beginning has an end.
Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you persist?
Because I choose to.
I'm pretty sure the pieces were fine the way they were left. After watching the trailer, it honestly looks like a shameless, nullifying reboot of the original trilogy whilst pretending like it's a sequel. In other words, it looks like the Matrix version of The Force Awakens. As in, it looks like the Matrix and it quacks like it, but it also hits the fucking reset button for what I'd assume is the worst case scenario of spawning an everlasting series of sequels.
It is purpose that created us. Purpose that connects us. Purpose that pulls us, that guides us, that drives us. It is purpose that defines. Purpose that binds us.
Or spanning into yet another cinematic universe that Warner Brothers is going to try to pocket off of.
Causality. There is no escape from it. We are forever slaves to it.
At the end of the Matrix Revolutions, Neo vanquishes Smith, the Matrix, and the machines are saved from total disaster, and in Neo's sacrifice, because he's presumably dead, he establishes a peace between the humans and the machines. He saved humanity from the brink of extinction at the cost of his own life, and Trinity's life for that matter. Oh yes, we will get back to her, don't you worry. And most importantly, in the epilogue, the Oracle has a small conversation with the Architect, and he laments that in light of the deal Neo was able to broker, every living person in the Matrix would be freed as a result.
Just how long do you think this peace is going to last?
As long as it can. What about the others?
What others?
The ones that want out.
Obviously, they will be freed.
I have your word.
What do you think I am? Human?
Leaving the Matrix essentially barren of human batteries. In The Matrix Reloaded, the Architect also does tell Neo that the machines have considered more extreme measures of survival that doesn't involve the growth and enslavement of humanity.
You won't let it happen, you can't. You need human beings to survive.
There are levels of survival we are prepared to accept.
So at the end of the third Matrix movie, the pieces were left on the board in such a way that humanity should be free and thriving, rebuilding the civilization they once lost. Neo should be dead, Trinity should be dead, and every human being should be unplugged from the Matrix. Enter the Matrix Resurrection.
I understood that reference.
After watching this trailer, and once my initial excitement had dwindled, which didn't take very long, mind you, this trailer from start to finish just feels wrong. Like, without sounding too cliche, it doesn't look or feel like a Matrix movie, and the pieces on the board are all fucking over the place. Neo is plugged back into the Matrix by the looks of things, and he is still alive. Okay, truth be told, this is actually what I have the least problem with, and I think the way they're gonna revive Neo is either by cloning him, which is doubtful, or what's more likely, they're just going to revive his mind by plugging him back into the Matrix. I mean, after all, his body is fine, it's just his mind that died. when Neo destroyed Smith. So he's probably going to wake up back in the Matrix with his memory wiped, and once again to be a slave to the system. There's even 2 shots in the trailer where it shows the machines are operating on Neo after the events of the 3rd movie, because you can clearly see that Neo's eyes are still scarred and burnt. That's a nice detail that I appreciated. However, it still baffles me as to why the machines would even bother reviving Neo or his mind. For what purpose exactly? What's the cause?
Cause? There is no cause for this. What cause?
And then we later find out that Trinity is back alive inside the Matrix, meaning they likely did the same thing to her as they did to Neo. Again, I ask, why? And most importantly, how? Unlike Neo, Trinity didn't die in the Matrix. Her body got fucking destroyed and mangled in a high-speed crash. Not to mention, way to nullify the impact that her death had on the series. You already teased her death once in The Matrix Reloaded, and then she had to have that long, melodramatic goodbye in the 3rd movie where she makes a big deal about having to have some heartfelt last words for Neo before she dies. So, great job on destroying that moment. Apparently the reason Lana Wachowski wanted to bring back these characters from the dead is because, quote, art is supposed to comfort us. Or at least that was the mindset behind it. I mean, I agree with that in isolation, but what a weird fucking reason to retcon 2 main characters' deaths. Anyway, both Neo and Trinity, by the looks of this trailer, have fragments of their memories from their old lives in the original trilogy. Neo has flashes of his birth when he was originally freed from the Matrix by Morpheus. Trinity, like Neo, has flashbacks to her birth, and there's even a remastered shot of the scene where Trinity was introduced in the 1st movie, when the police corner her in that dark room by the phone. There's a moment within the trailer where, upon grasping Neo's hand, Trinity wonders if she's ever met Neo before, as there was a memory trigger. And so, even though their minds have been wiped, it still looks as though they have some fragments from the past inside their memory. In fact, that's why Neo is going to therapy of all things, and Neil Patrick Harris of all people is his doctor. Neo wonders if he's going crazy, and it looks as though the doc has prescribed a fuck ton of blue pills to keep him from becoming self-aware of who he is and where he is, and hiding the realization that his world isn't real. So Neil Patrick Harris, by the looks of things, is a program of the Matrix that's designed to keep Neo from thinking too much and to keep him firmly plugged into the Matrix without him causing trouble. Again, there better be a bloody good explanation as to why they are essentially resurrecting the franchise, pun intended, and having Neo exactly where he started without making the original trilogy pointless.
Money!
I want everything. Would that include a bullet from this gun?
Another thing that kind of bugged me and also further convinces me that this is meant to be a reboot far more than a sequel is how they don't just reference plot points from the first Matrix movie, they redo them beat for beat, just in a watered down way. For example, the follow the white rabbit reference is inserted and Neo has to once again follow someone bearing a white rabbit tattoo to find whoever the hell is going to free his mind from the Matrix. And then we get another red pill, blue pill scene where Neo is faced with a choice to stay in the Matrix or wake up. And this person who is giving Neo the choice of the red pill and the blue pill is none other than the one and only...
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? Who the hell are you?
Have you seen this man? Is there any sign of him? Hello, paging Mr. Fishburne. Can you stop hiding and come the fuck out, please? You've gotta be shitting me. A video game? These dimwit shit cunts killed off one of their coolest characters and possibly best casting choices in a fucking video game? Are you guys out of your minds? I mean, how ironic is it that in the first Matrix movie, the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar considered killing Morpheus while he was plugged into a video game, and then canonically the Wachowskis actually did just that? Because yeah, that would have been a bitch way to go out. Now, to be fair, the Matrix has used video games to add excellent context to the films in the past. I'm sure many of you recall Enter the Matrix and how fucking dope that game was. You play as Niobe and Ghost as they undertake missions prior, during, and after the events of the Matrix Reloaded. Hell, they even filmed live-action cutscenes for it using the actual actors from the movies. But it was nothing absolutely vital to the films themselves or their plots and main characters, just some extra context for stuff that was loosely hinted at or vaguely referenced. For example, you see how Niobe and Ghost managed to catch up to Morpheus just in the nick of time to save him on the freeway, and you also get to see how the Logos gets stranded without power after Neo fails his mission to shut down the Source at the end of The Matrix Reloaded. But no main characters were killed off, and no key plot points were shoved into into the video game absent from the movie. Also, remember when I said they were rehashing plot points? Because we also get the dojo scene 2.0, where Neo is supposedly being taught how to use Kung Fu all over again, and then Neo tells this Morpheus ripoff,
You don't know me. No?
Of course not. You're not fucking Morpheus, you twat. Fucking damn it. There's no way in hell I'm calling this fucker Morpheus. Not a chance in hell. I will say the one part of this trailer that made me believe we might actually get a new movie or something different instead of The Matrix Forced Awakens is how instead of a standard sparring match like the first movie, Neo just blasts the entire dojo to bits as if to say this isn't going to go the same way it did in the first movie. Now that could be a good thing, or it could be Terminator Genesis, but I guess time will tell. Now, I want to talk about not my biggest problem with the trailer, that would definitely be the retcons I spoke of and the lack of Morpheus, obviously, but this is my biggest pet peeve, and thankfully this is easily fixable, but the way the movie and the trailer looks provides not even the tiniest resemblance to the atmosphere of the other Matrix film. Undoubtedly, everyone familiar with the franchise noticed the absence of the green tint that every shot inside the Matrix possesses that lets the audience know that the characters are plugged into it. But this trailer looks glossy as fuck and way too clean and way too bright. The Matrix is meant to give off a dim, gritty and depressing kind of atmosphere because it's essentially a digital prison for humanity, and obviously the traces of green are meant to reflect the lines of code that generate the Matrix and hold the system together. And this is why, without sounding too cliche, that I thought the trailer didn't look or feel like a Matrix movie. Those who are familiar with my content know atmosphere is one of my most valued qualities in media. Good atmosphere, or at least a consistent atmosphere, is something I'm very into. And that also brings me to the sound design of the Matrix, which is probably my second most valued superficial trait in media. And you bet your ass the sound design for the original Matrix Trilogy was some of the best ever in cinema. Near as I can tell, the sound design for this trailer was okay. It didn't sound very Matrix-esque. Or maybe it's the terribly obnoxious song they had playing in the background that made me want to rip my fucking ears off. Maybe it was that which made me unable to appreciate the sound design in this trailer. Right, now that I've got all that stuff off my chest, how about the stuff I did like? Well, much as I like to rag on about how weird it is to bring them back and how much it breaks continuity, it is pretty cool to see Keanu and Carrie reunite as Neo and Trinity. I love those actors, I love those characters, and though I may be worried, I'm choosing to remain somewhat cautiously optimistic. Besides that, well, the action, obviously. We got to see the return of some classic Matrix physics bending, wall running, bullet dodging, building jumping, feats of impossible strength. Hell, the agents looked dope, and seeing them morph in and out of humans that were still plugged in was pretty cool. And hell, even Neo was back to stopping bullets with his bare hands, and he's even managed to push his powers even further by redirecting missiles from helicopters, which was pretty fucking dope. That was all good stuff. But even all that isn't enough to make me forget that this film is treading a very thin line of fucking this series into oblivion. Some people already hated the last two films, and I absolutely disagree with those people. However, the very fact this movie exists nullifies the third movie almost in its entirety. The war against the machines didn't end. Neo's prophecy is essentially a fart in the wind at this point. Two main characters have been resurrected, hence the title of the damn movie. One character has been written off and replaced with another actor, and so many of the old plot points are being retreaded, which leaves a high likelihood of this movie being incredibly insulting to its fans.
Perhaps. But we can hope. I'm afraid hope is an indulgence I don't have time for.
So yeah, all in all, not good. Very not good by the looks of this trailer. A lot of alarms have been raised for me. I've referred to this movie as The Forced Awakens because it looks to be disguising itself as a sequel when in actuality it's a complete reboot designed to reset the franchise, tread similar grounds, and change everything for the worst. However, unlike The Force Awakens, which did not have the original creator working on it, The Matrix Resurrections still does have the Wachowskis in creative control, at least I'd like to think so, and like it or not, they did create the series in the first place. So at least it's not some outsider douchebag just looking for a paycheck who's taken over the project, but I suppose time will tell whether or not the Wachowskis still have the magic, eh? Anyway guys, that's about it for the breakdown. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like, you can do so while I give the outro. Firstly, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon supporters. for their contributions to the channel. For those of you who don't know, Patreon is essentially a donation service for passionate viewers who would like to support the channel and its videos. I left the link in the description for any who are interested. Secondly, I would like to thank my YouTube members for their contributions to the channel. YouTube memberships essentially serve the same function as Patreon, but it's far more practical for viewers who are interested in the channel's podcast. You can hit the join button if you're interested, or just follow the link in the description. Thirdly, if you're interested in my content, feel free to check out the channel's Discord server. What Discord basically is an online community where fans of this channel can go to congregate and talk about a range of different topics, ranging from Star Wars to Lord of the Rings, anime, video games, and other pop culture stuff. Check it out at your leisure, and who knows, maybe you'll make some friends along the way. A quick special thank you to A British Potato for helping me out with the audio for this video. Be sure to check out his channel. He makes great stuff. I've linked it below. And finally, here's one last thank you for staying till the end of the video. You are a legend, and I'll see you next time.